As quarantine has been getting longer and longer, being sane has just gotten so much harder.
Most important thing about diet really is it's important to start with the compound movement. Living in my own body feels better today than it did 3 months ago.
So I hope you enjoy the conversation. Burnin with G, welcome back, episode 15. We made it. Honestly, it's such a big deal to me, a big accomplishment, hitting 15. I never thought I'd make it this far. Around 6 or 7, I was like, I'll probably get bored. I'll probably not really feel that this was the right platform for me. But honestly, I'm so thankful for all the support, and 15 is a really big deal for me, so thank you. Today, what I wanted to focus on, and something that's been on my mind a lot, is as quarantine has been getting longer and longer, being sane has just gotten so much harder, because you have to just be more creative in the ways that you stay present. So I had this story on my I posted this story on my Instagram and asked a question, basically, what are things that people have implemented to just stay more present and sane? And I was amazed by how much response I got. A lot of people just wanted to have that conversation. And I think this is a really important conversation to have because we can just share ideas. Maybe that extra 30 minutes of sleep that you've been getting has tremendously changed your outlook on life. And if that's something that works for you, maybe that'll work for somebody else. And I think I was really happy to have this conversation and hear what everyone had to say. So I wanted to go over some of the things that people said and the most common responses I got. Wow. I also heard this great idea yesterday that face masks actually make a huge difference and uplift your just overall energy. So I wanted to try that while I was reading some of these. So the first one, the most common response that I ended up getting was journaling. And this was something that I was very surprised that a lot of people do, because I thought I have always been quite lazy, I guess, to do journaling, because I've started, but I would do it 4 or 5 times in a week, and then I'd be like, this isn't really working. But a lot of people were saying that a lot of these habits are not necessarily something that provide results in a day or two, right? It takes months, it takes years sometimes. So you have to be patient with any of these things we implement that we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about journaling. So I started learning about journaling from following this Instagram page. It's a great page. She's called The Holistic Psychologist. And she basically just gives a lot of prompts that really provoke internal thinking, right? So what is the point of journaling? Basically, journaling is we have this internal voice, right? And it controls the entire way we think about ourselves. And especially in a time where we are alone for most of the day, the only person we really talk to is ourselves. So if that inner voice is constantly feeding you just negative thoughts, like, oh, you're not good enough, oh, you could be doing more, like, why are you so lazy, why are you not capable of doing things, then all of a sudden we start thinking of ourselves like that, right? So when we journal, what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a really positive conversation with ourselves. And I think we have to put water in the face mask, but I'm not sure, but let's see, because it was really solid. But so we want to have a positive conversation with our inner voice. So some of the main prompts that people said that they journaled about, one was a daily log journal, kind of like a to-do list. Like, what did I do today? What did I enjoy doing? What could I have done better? What could I have done differently? Another one that I really liked was affirmation journaling. And this is basically taking the time in your day to really just be like, hey, you did a great job. Thank you for, supporting me physically. My body is literally keeping me alive. Thank you for that. Thank you for my eyes working. Thank you for my ears working. Whatever you want to be thankful for, or whatever you want to really tell yourself you did a good job in, go do that. The other big one that I started doing recently is gratitude journaling, and I think this one is really cool. So gratitude journaling is just finding 2 to 3 things every day that you're very thankful for. It could be your parents, it could be your family, trying to find different things that happened in that day or just in general that you're really thankful for. And I've been doing this for over 2 weeks, and it has helped me be so much more grateful for things happening at that moment. And I think that's really helpful. So with journaling, I think the next one that I want to talk about that most people said was meditation and or focusing on their breath. So, with coronavirus, I think a really cool thing is we can really see how our minds kind of work, right? Are they constantly just in a constant ramble, like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? Or are we able to be like, everything is okay, and find inner peace, right? And I think meditation is one of those things that make that very helpful. So the most common tips that I've heard for meditation is, one, focus on your breath. Try to silence your mind, but at the same time, allow thoughts to come. It's not like thoughts are bad. We just want to observe the thoughts and not get invested in the thought itself. And I think that was a huge thing for me to learn, that it's not like thoughts are bad. Thoughts are normal. But there's a difference between actually valuing the thought we have. So let's say I think, oh, it's warm. Then actually putting value on the fact that I thought it was warm, compared to just being like, oh, my mind just thought it was warm. That's it. And by just observing your thoughts, you are now it's not controlling you. You're just observing your thoughts. And I think that was like a really big difference for me. One of the other big ones that most people said was removing bad habits. And the two habits were removing masturbation, reducing the amount of time they spend on their phones, and reducing the amount of time they masturbate. So let me start with the phone. So I actually just switched over to the flip phone again. It's not even a flip phone, it's just, I don't know, it's just an old phone. But I wanted to just spend less time on Instagram. I wanted to spend less time just like distracted, and I feel like the phone offers a great way to just constantly keep yourself distracted from just other things you can do. So I think there's some great apps on the phone to calculate how much time you're using it. And I think the average American uses their phone for like 3 hours or something. It's absolutely insane, because imagine spending 3 hours doing literally anything else. You would become a master at it in a year, and it's just like, I think it's very important to be aware of how much time is going on, and not only that, being aware of what type of information you're consuming on your phone. If all a lot of people were saying, I've been unfollowing a lot of people who have just been toxic on social media, and I think that's very important. You should always be following people that make you excited to live, people that make you just motivated. There's no point following people that make you stressed out, or people that just make you feel bad, because why? And the other one that came with, I feel like is very correlated with the phone, is masturbation. And this is something that's interesting, because masturbation has a lot of positive benefits. It reduces stress, it improves sleep, it reduces menstrual cramps, it elevates mood, but at the same time, it can also be this thing that just sucks up all your time. And that is something that I personally ask myself a lot. Okay, one, how do I feel after I masturbate? Do I feel guilty, or do I really feel in that place of peace? And two, how much time am I spending into it? Is it taking away a lot from what I could be doing the rest of the day? And oftentimes I'm in that boat. Therefore, that is something I realized I need to cut down on. And right now I'm on day 10. That's a really big deal for me, but I hope my goal is to hit a month. And the final one I wanted to talk about is exercise. I think this is a huge one that a lot of people are trying to get into. And I brought on my friend Ishan to basically get his view on how he stayed motivated for 6 years, how he's constantly been ready to work out, how he's always ready to just, keep that as something that's like a constant in his life. And I wanted to understand what are tricks and things that we can implement to work out better, and also just be more efficient in the way we work out. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. Yo, pass the mic over this way. I'm about to be late.
Become aware of one thing. You have everything, but you don't have yourself.
Welcome back to your 12th favorite podcast, Burnin with G.
So the first question I wanted to ask Ishan was about how exactly can somebody work out efficiently, right? If you look online, there's tons of different ways to work out. You can hit 12 reps of, three sets of 12 reps, and like 5 sets of 8 reps, and there's X, Y, and Z types of workouts. And I wanted to know, what are the different ways to work out, and which way did he find to be the best for him?
There's different ways to work out, right? Like, you can either work out for strength, which is like more of a power lifter perspective. You can you can work out more for aesthetics or bodybuilding. If you're working out in that sense, like, definitely it's important to like start with the compound movements. So for example, like for legs, you'd start with like squats and like maybe Romanian deadlifts if you're like looking for like actually hitting the muscles. You know what I mean? Like there's like, you can either try to lift really heavy weights or you can try to like lift lighter weights really well with really good form. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of like, since I've switched over to like less worrying about like how much weight I'm lifting and like more worrying about really getting like a full range of motion and like actually aligning everything right. Actually, aligning everything right is probably the biggest thing that I've noticed. Is like, people tell you like, yeah, it's like bad form if you don't go all the way down, but they don't tell you exactly how to align your muscles so they all stack up properly. You know what I mean? Like, people don't talk about that a lot.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because like you can squat ass to grass, but if you're like, if one knee is going out too far, the other knee is going too far in, you're gonna experience like joint problems. You're not gonna squat as efficiently. Like, you won't look as good either because the wrong muscles are kind of like getting too big compared to like everything else. You know what I mean? So I would say like compound movements are really important, and making sure that your form is like absolutely perfect. Like, it's really hard to get perfect form. Like, you may think you have perfect form for most things, but like, I guarantee like 99.9% of people, unless they've spent like at least a couple of years like trying to perfect the fuck out of an exercise, will not have like a perfect form on every rep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely. So would you say it's important to work on the form first before you even try to increase the weight, and like just like try to keep your ego out of it?
Yes, like that's like one thing that I think I really regret like not doing when I was younger, because like I think when we were growing up and like, you know, like all like the popular like lifting ideals like on the internet and shit were like, go heavier, go home, like unless you lift big you're not gonna get big, blah blah blah. So like I kind of like took those to heart too well, and then literally in the past year I've spent fucking hours and hours a day like doing all these like crazy ass stretches and like alignment exercises and stuff just to fix all these issues that if I had spent like literally 6 months like perfecting my form back before like I built muscle in the wrong areas, it would have been like I wouldn't have had to do any of this. You know what I mean? I'd be making a lot more progress right now. But yeah, definitely like I think the most important thing for anyone starting off is like to like keep your ego out of it. You know what I mean? Like nobody, like the weight increases like after like you push yourself like extremely hard for like a few months like are gonna plateau really hard, and you're just gonna be like lifting the same weight really fucking hard for like months. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
It's much more important to like learn how to like properly stack everything and get like the mind muscle connection from like every exercise, so that like no, even if you don't go up in weight, you know what I mean, like you may still gain some muscle. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense.
Because if you're hitting the muscle right, you know what I mean? Like, you're kind of just like aligning your body so that everything gets stronger all at once, and so there won't be any like lag from like this part. You know what I mean? Like this muscle is too weak, so I'm not gaining strength on my bench. Like everything will kind of like work together really well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
One question that I've seen a lot of people ask is, what is the difference that you've noticed between, you know, low rep and high rep, where you're doing low reps for heavyweight and high reps for low weight? What is the primary difference between those two that you've noticed?
So I mean, in theory, so like low rep is supposed to increase your strength more, so like it's more like working your neural patterns to like push that weight harder, you know what I mean?
Okay.
You actually, like if you go under like 5-6 reps, like you actually are supposed to like gain less muscle from it, so it like causes less hypertrophy, which is like what causes the muscles to get bigger. But it'll like, it kind of trains your brain to like push faster, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And push harder. And higher reps, like say, I mean there's like different kinds of high reps. If you go like over like 12 to 20 reps, it'll be more endurance. And then like 8 to 12 is usually considered like the hypertrophy range, so like usually the range where you get the best pump and like your muscles get bigger. So I would say like it's a lot easier to focus on form with high reps. So like for anyone that's like starting off or just like even just getting back into working out, like don't be scared to like lift like a much lighter weight for like 12 really solid slow reps instead of just like fucking forcing yourself to like you know, like curling like 35s out of nowhere, just like going like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the next question I had for Ishan had to do with his diet, because what a lot of people say is the eating part is as important as the working out part. And for me, I know that is a big problem for me, because some months I just don't eat enough, and other months that cookie and ice cream right before I sleep sounds really good. So being able to balance, you know, your wants for your workout or your exercise habits and matching those with your nutrition is very important. So I wanted to get his side on that.
I've actually like only really started like being a lot more careful about my diet. I'd say like about a year ago ish. So I think like one really interesting thing about the diet is like people always like you see all these like Instagram ads and stuff, you know what I mean, that are telling you like this diet works, like see like how my diet plan like did this, blah 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 blah, you know, like intermittent fasting, keto, blah blah blah. There's all these different things, like all these fads. I think like all of them, like they can work, but they also can not work. You know what I mean? Like the most important thing about diet really is, if you want to lose weight, you eat less calories than your body burns. If you want to gain weight, you eat more calories than your body burns. So, I think a lot of people, because like there's like this idea that like some foods are healthier than others, blah blah blah. People kind of like don't really understand like the whole energy intake concept, you know what I mean? Or they know it, but nobody really knows how much energy they're actually consuming. Because like these healthy nuts that you're eating, or like the avocado toast, like might literally have way more calories than if you just ate a piece of bread. You know what I mean? In the morning. Yeah. So like, I think for me, what really helped was like actually sitting down and tracking my macros for like a few months. Like, so macronutrients are basically just like protein, carbs, and fat, right?
Okay.
You could and I've explained this to you before, I think, but I can like kind of give like a quick run through before. So like when you're gaining or losing weight, like the biggest factor in whether you're actually gain or lose weight is how many calories you eat, right? So like usually if like the safest way is to like gain a pound a week to gain muscle, or lose a pound a week to lose fat. And the way you do that is you find like you can literally go on like an online calorie calculator and like put in your height, weight, and activity level, blah blah blah. They have like more specific ones if you want to like really get it down, but it doesn't like, it won't matter as much like what the exact number is. It'll usually just be like around a range. So you'll find like kind of your body's basic metabolic rate, and then if you're trying to lose weight, which most people are, you'll subtract 500 calories from that. You know what I mean? And if you're trying to gain weight, you'll add 500 calories to that. And what you do is you get like a nutritional tracking app. Say like MyFitnessPal is like the most used one, I feel like. And you basically like everything you eat, you put in the servings and like what food it was. You can either look up the name of it. They have pretty much every food on there. Like you can pretty much find everything unless it's like a really really small business like restaurant. You know what I mean? So like they have Chipotle on there. They have anything at the grocery store. You could scan the barcode and it'll just like pop up there, and then you just put in like how many servings you ate. So yeah, basically like I did that for like, say, I think like 2 months when I was like trying to cut weight. I lost like 20 pounds before spring break. Basically like doing that for like 2 to 3 months. And I think like people think like, I think people are scared to do that because then it like, you kind of get the idea that, oh, like if I want to like maintain this body, I'm going to have to track nutrients like my entire life. You really don't, because like once you actually like start hitting those numbers, you know what I mean, and you figure out like what foods, it kind of helps you figure out like what foods that you like to eat can fit whether you want to lose or gain weight. You know what I mean? You don't have to follow this like outside diet plan that this one guy gave you that like is based on what he likes to eat. You know what I mean? Like you kind of like, from the foods that you eat, it helps you figure out like maybe which ones you should cut or which ones you should eat less of. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
And once you do that, it kind of like becomes easier. Like after a few months of like actually tracking and like hitting those numbers, your body kind of gets used to eating like that. And then you can kind of just like naturally say like, hey, like this breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like generally like this much amount of meat, this much amount of rice is like what, you know, like works for me.
Okay.
So I can just keep eating that. And then it's like kind of easy to just kind of eyeball things, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So once I understood that, the next question I had for Ishan had a lot to do with something that I had battled with a lot for when I first started working out. My main motivation for working out when I first began was to impress people, to look big, it was all for external reasons, right? None of it was for me. And because of that, every time I got sick or every time I got lazy, that will to look good for other people was not as strong as to just lay on the couch and watch TV or read a book or just do something that wasn't physically exerting myself. And I realized that now when I like doing cardio, and I'm doing a lot more cardio because I feel more alive, or I actually enjoy living when I do cardio, that will pushes me a lot more to be consistent than looking good for that girl ever did, you know? And so I wanted to understand if Ishan had gone through that process, and if he had, how that had helped him change his motivation and his will to work out.
It just became like, it's actually like something I do to like forget about all the other bullshit that's going on, you know what I mean?
A mental release, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's literally a mental release for me. Like, people ask, like, how are you so motivated and, like, do this, like, every day? It's like, actually, it's like, I would feel worse if I didn't.
Definitely.
Like, you know, like, I'm doing all this, like, other, like, I'm, like, coding and, like, you know, like, studying for the experience lab and, like, whatever other shit for school that I was doing, like, at school. It's just, like, something that, like, I can kind of do for, like, a solid 2 to 3 hours, completely forget about everything else, and I'm, like, only working on myself. And another great thing about it is it's like, with like working out, if you really work out hard, like that's visible, you know what I mean? Like there's no like bullshitting like a good body. Like you can't like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's something that if you like work hard on, everyone can see it and kind of appreciate it, and you can see it on yourself, you know? There's no like opinions about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's there. It's like you're stuck with it every fucking day, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's just like something that I can like put consistent work in and like see results, and that is like totally about me and not anyone else. You know what I mean? Like even when you're like studying for school and stuff and like trying to get a job, like, you know, like there's always like another person's opinion involved. You know, there's someone grading your work. There's some interviewer that's like deciding whether you're good enough for the job, and then like once you start working, it's like somebody's like judging your work there. But when you're in the gym and you're like literally just working out like to see an improvement in your own body, it's literally just like between you and yourself, you know, like
True.
It's all for you, which is like really fun.
I've been doing a lot of cardio recently because I realized, like, for me at least, and what my goals were, like, just like lifting weights wasn't exactly hitting that. But the thing that has kept me, like, the last, you know, month or so, I've been a lot more motivated than I ever have been, just because I've been kind of thinking of my body as kind of, it is a tool, you know? It's like your vehicle of life. Like, it's like you
Bro.
You know,
like,
you take
one
care
of
of your
the only
cars.
things-
Like, it's like you might as well take
Yeah.
care of your body so that you can perform at the best you can at whatever you do.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, it's literally just about like feeling your best in like the one thing that you're stuck with until the day you
Yeah.
die, which is your own fucking physical body. Like you are stuck with
Yeah.
that, you know?
And that is the biggest motivation. There's no bigger motivation than that. You know, I feel like that's the one
Exactly,
thing that
yeah.
will keep you going, because it's like, I want to be able to just live better. And how can I do
Live
that?
better,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it, yeah. Like for me, like now that I've like focused really hard on like aligning all my stuff and like my squat's gotten better, whatever. Like I literally like walk and run easier. You know, it's like easy for me to get up off the couch. It's like I walk faster, like naturally. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it feels better to exist in my own body now, which is like I think that's the most addictive part of it. I would say I'm addicted because it's just like I'm addicted to the feeling of that. Like my living in my own body feels better today than it did 3 months ago, and that if I keep doing this, it'll keep feeling like that. You know?
Wow. Yeah. No, that's a great feeling, because feeling healthy, just I honestly cannot tell you anything else that feels better. When I feel like I'm healthy,
Nothing.
I'm just like, this is how I want to be alive. And after a workout, I feel like that every time. Maybe not during the workout, but right after, I'm like, damn, I'm very proud that I did that. You know?
Dude, yeah.
And
The endorphins fucking hit.
Yeah. And it's an amazing feeling. So next, I wanted to understand Ishan's, motivation for his future goals when it came to exercising and being fit. He has a lot of really cool ideas, and I support him fully in all.
For now, I think I want to get to where I've like reached
all his
my maximum
endeavors
potential that I could reach by myself, and then maybe look into that stuff. Maybe look into like, being like a trainer for fun, like just coaching people into getting better bodies. Like, there's like a lot of routes I could go with it. I mean, I would love to own my own gym one day.
That'd be sick.
And just like help people, you know what I mean, and like have like a really sick setup. That'd be fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things I feel like I need to do in life first before I like go down like the more professional fitness route. You know what I mean?
I know you were talking about making a like diet page or a fitness page. Have you?
I'm thinking about it. I just need to like come up with like really good material that I feel like would actually help people. I need to like write everything down. I haven't done that yet.
Lifts with
'Cause,
sway?
like, right now there's just like a lot of fucking info that's just in my head that I just like have, you know?
I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about your college experience, because I feel like you had a very different experience from a lot of the rest of us who ended up going to school in the same state that they grew up in, right? So like I stayed in California my whole life, so I feel like I met very similar people, and I was always around a pretty diverse group. But you went from the Bay Area straight to Indiana. You went to school in Purdue. So tell me a little bit about Indiana. What was it like going to school there?
Yeah, I would say, okay, Indiana's like, I mean, it's technically the same country as California, but it's like super fucking
Yeah, I
different,
can
bro.
imagine.
Like the kind of people that live in Indiana, like Indiana's a very like blocked off like kind of bubble, you know, where like most of the people that live in Indiana kind of just stay in fucking Indiana. Like their whole family lived in Indiana for like 50 years, you know what I mean? Several fucking generations, maybe like 100 years. I don't fucking know. They're very traditional and conservative. They're fucking alcoholics though, bro. Like, they're insane. Like, that's all there is to do there is just drink hella alcohol. Like, that's like their main thing to do. Like, it's weird to do anything else if you aren't a fucking if you're not blacked out at a party, like completely blacked out, you're like weird and boring.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah, like it was like the people that were like cool there would like kind of be considered tweakers or something at some points, because it's just like they were just so fucking blacked out like all the time, bro. Like that's all they would do is just black out. So like yeah, they would like judge you for not drinking, you know, like 3 times a week, and like getting so fucked up that you have no idea what's going on, which is like it was kind of weird. And then I kind of got into that for like a while. So like I think I don't know if you remember, like every time I would come back from the summer, every time we'd go drink, I would be
Oh my
up.
god.
Like,
You don't need to tell me
so
twice, bro. I do remember that.
So fucked up. I know, bro. But that was because of there, dude. The people there just drink so much by volume, bro. When I first got to college, I was like, yeah, like I'd probably be good off of like, you know, a couple beers, maybe like half a Four Loko or something. But these guys would be like, nah, dude, like I'm on my 3rd Four Loko, bro. Like if I don't yak today, I'm a pussy.
Oh my god.
Like,
So there you have it. That was that conversation. I'm really happy Ishan came on and we were able to speak about all those things. His drive and will to work out consistently is something that has inspired me, and I hope it's inspired some of you. And this conversation mainly was focused to be able to create a conversation where everyone could share things that they're doing during quarantine. So if I, as I go through my journey, and as however long quarantine ends, the more I add, the more I have to share. And I hope this conversation will continue to be had, and I wish you everyone the best of luck with adding these habits to their life. Burnin with G. See you next week.